Team Fortress 2 Classic. When I hear those four words, I think back to those times when I was a teenager. All the good times that I had. On the last release, Beta 4, playing a buggy mod for a game that I already loved. Fast-paced action and goofy mercenaries shooting at each other in maps for the eyes of those who can only bear to see developer textures. It might be strange for me to discuss how an obscure mod made me into a better person, but it really did. It changed me as a person and made me better. The community was welcoming, provided me a new place to grow as a stupid kid into a less stupid kid. Welcoming for the most part, at least. It was so nice to be involved in a community with people who were okay with me being there and put up with my stupidity. Though as great as the community was, I could more or less live without them, because what really made TF2 Classic shine is the mod itself. The mod had a certain atmosphere to it. It felt unfinished, and had a certain charm to it that came with having to type join class in the console to play as the custom classes, including most of the maps having developer textures. Many people came to play the mod for its deathmatch game mode, which is fast-paced action that was quick and exciting. But I was never too big a fan of deathmatch. I preferred to play on 4-team maps, as community content was where I had all my fun. But aside from a short and dumbed-down summary of what I did specifically, what made Team Fortress 2 Classic so much goddamn fun? What was the appeal? What kept people coming back, even after the mod closed from the public? What made people want to distribute copies of the game under the noses of the developers and still play together in the evenings on that one server that was left, finally standing in the list of nothingness? Surely there has to be something. But before we can talk about Team Fortress 2 Classic, we have to talk about its predecessor, Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress 2 is a first-person shooter created by Valve and released in 2007 with the orange box. It was originally pay-to-play, but eventually became free for anyone to download and play via Steam in 2011. Team Fortress 2 is generally thought of as a very good game. It has been well received as a classic title for many people, including myself. I spent my entire 7th grade year playing Team Fortress 2, to a lesser extent Minecraft, for better or for worse. It was a very unique game, something you could get hooked on without any flashy colors, bright lights, or loot boxes. Though there are technically crates and keys, those are totally optional parts of the game. You can still have just as much fun without them. Many people think that Team Fortress 2 accepting free-to-play audience had killed the culture of the game. The result of this was certain servers locking out users who did not pay for the game, as it was rather difficult to play with hordes of people who had no idea how the game worked. Combine this with an increasing amount of ridiculous cosmetics that fit the game's art style for the sake of the money, and you've got yourself a portion of the community who thinks the game isn't good anymore. People have been uttering TF2 is dead for years, and they've always been proven wrong with the game's continued life and existence. But the fact that these people exist show that TF2 isn't a perfect game, and that people feel like some things could have been done better. Like there was wasted potential, and that if the game simply took a different direction, things would certainly be much, much better. Now, the Team Fortress 2 community is no stranger to community-made content. Valve has a policy of letting their fans do whatever they want with their content, usually as long as it's not copying the game or hacking. Sometimes it can get quite strange, in fact. Case in point, Gary's Mod TF2 videos. So it was a simple matter of time for someone on the TF2 community forum to gather up some like-minded content creators and say, what if we do just that? What if we take the old Team Fortress 2, back when everything was good, and bring it in a different direction on our own? And thus, Team Fortress 2 Classic was born. Team Fortress 2 Classic was made with the idea that Team Fortress 2 would be better if it had taken a different direction. It was first created and led by Daniel MM88, who, according to the current head developer of TF2 Classic, has an unknown amount of M's and 8's in his name. Daniel thought it would be cool if content that was scrapped from Team Fortress 2 was re-added into the game and fully supported for playing with. Naming the mod became a quick concern though. Calling the mod Team Fortress 2 Beta would get the mod confused with the actual beta for Team Fortress 2. Now surely, there must be something better to name the mod than that. What do people call something old? Something that they enjoyed in their earlier days but no longer play? Nostalgic? Memorable? Well, what about classic? Though the aim of the mod would not exactly align with the definition of classic, it would be a unique enough name to fit with the goal of the mod. So it was done. Team Fortress 2 Classic would be the name, and the goal of the mod would be to try to bring back cut content from the beta of Team Fortress 2. And so production began on the mod. As time progressed, however, a glaring problem became clear. Cut content is cut for a reason, usually. That reason being that it is not fit for the game because it is either unbalanced or is just not right. Except for the nail gun. The nail gun works fine. So imagine this. Your mod dedicated to bringing back scrap content to a game is not going well, because after some testing, you realize why that content you're trying to bring back was removed in the first place. What do you do now? The only thing you can do is shift gears and do something else. It's not clear whether or not this was the work of Daniel or the next lead developer, Nick9, but the goal of the mod shifted from bringing back scrap content to making a new game mode in the TF2 universe. This new game mode, Deathmatch. Skipping a lot of unnecessary detail about the mod's development and fast forwarding to 2015, Deathmatch rose to be the most popular game mode of TF2 Classic. As you can see, it was fast-paced action, quick, decisive in execution, and really fun to play. You could join a game of Deathmatch and almost always have a fun time. It worked by everyone playing as the Mercenary class, a new class unique to TF2 Classic, who started out with nothing but a crowbar, functionally identical to the Scout's bat, along with a pistol, and if you had the right items game file, 2 grenades as his primary weapon. The goal of the game mode was to pick up different weapons scattered around the map and kill as many people as possible. The first mercenary to kill a certain amount of players, 25 by default, is declared the winner, with the second and third place players showing up on the leaderboard as well. There were other game modes as well that were unique to the mod, and by other game modes I mean variants of existing game modes but with 4 teams. At the time of the last released beta, or as it is commonly named Beta 4, you could play Payload with 4 teams, Domination, like the map CP Hydra that nobody plays, with 4 teams, and Capture the Flag, also with 4 teams. All of them, by the way, were insanely fun. Sentries were known to crash the game frequently, but that was just a price that had to be paid. The weapons had the same great sound design, same great feel to them that regular TF2 weapons do, except for the Cyclops. The Cyclops sucks. It all felt like something that you would play in regular TF2, but felt like its own game outright at the same time. Sort of a Team Fortress 2, if you will. Team Fortress 2 Classic was present in many parts of the TF2 community as well. On the r/TF2 subreddit, Discord servers, Facepunch forums, GameBanana, 8chan, 4chan, you name it. Someone would tell you they knew what you were talking about if you mentioned anything about Team Fortress 2 Classic. There was even a game mode similar to Trouble in Terrorist Town called Espionage planned for development with 5 new classes in it. 5. That game mode has been scrapped sadly, but I do have the plans for it linked in the description if you want to have a gander. Oh, and then I mentioned that they added a new class that isn't the Mercenary for a future game mode. He's called a Civilian, and he has become somewhat of an unofficial mascot for TF2 Classic. And there have been a lot of memes about this guy.
Call me Civilian. I'm 1 in a million. Better count those frags cause I'm killing them. Adversaries, mercenaries, penny pushing temporaries.
What are you doing?
I'm just rapping, mother.
Well, keep the noise down or your father will hear of this, you little shit.
Sorry. Now where was I? Oh yes, Spawn. Run out to the lawn. Shout out hurrah cause I won. Wait a sec. Is that a spy? Surprise. Ha ha, gotcha son. Game ends. Here I am. Suicide, wait. Respawn. Ha 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 ha.
Needless to say, this mod was special. As long as we're going to talk about the insane fun and popularity of TF2 Classic, it's important to talk about the servers that you will play it on. You see, for the most part, there was a variety of community servers that you could play on, all with different gimmicks. I wasn't there for the earlier days as I joined in late 2016, but when I was there were only 2 server hosts on TF2 Classic. For some reason, other servers were temporary and otherwise scarce as time went on. The official servers were run by Vault F4 and included Randomizer, Deathmatch, Vanilla Team Fortress 2, and Community Maps. Though these servers were not played nearly as much as the more popular and more ridiculous Red Channel servers. The name Red Channel will make any TF2 Classic veteran remember the time they spent on that server, for better or for worse. Someone said that it triggers some sort of PTSD, as in, it evokes some bad memories of a time they'd rather forget. And honestly, I don't blame them. The man who ran the Red Channel servers was an avid shitposter from the yonders of 8chan. There was a strict anti-furry and anti-brony policy in the server, showing any interest in or any discussion of furry or pony content was bannable, and it's happened before too. The most popular server, the Red Channel Community Maps server, ran a lot of insane junk maps from the Team Fortress 2 workshop and also the Game Banana modding website from the Team Fortress 2 and Team Fortress 2 Classic sections, of course. It was nothing less but a shitposting paradise. And personally, I loved it. I didn't care for the anti-furry or anti-brony policy because I wasn't either of those, so I had nothing to be afraid of. There were some rather questionable maps run on that server. It was still all around a good time. But as time went on, however, it became clear that Red Channel's position as the only server that could be played was not really sustainable. The owner of Red Channel was a controversial figure at the time of this happening. Well, he still is. Out of respect for him and for his anonymity, I will simply refer to him as Mr. Red, the name deriving from his ownership over the Red Channel servers. It was around this time that the Vault F4 official servers for Team Fortress 2 Classic were getting shut down because Team Fortress 2 Classic was shutting down. No, I'm joking. Team Fortress 2 Classic was going into closed beta. For those of you who don't know, there are two kinds of betas. Open beta, in which anyone can download the beta of the mod and play however much they please, and closed beta, in which there is a group of testers that are exclusively allowed to play the mod with the developers. For a while now, Team Fortress 2 Classic has been an open beta, though Team Fortress 2 Classic really needed to go under some big changes that required the mod to shift to a closed beta status. Major things like code cleanup, proper integration of new assets, new game modes, and new features all around. This would have been okay, and it was for a while. TF2 Classic went on as normal, and the community uncomfortably stayed on Red Channel until one day, TF2 Classic had to meet its maker, literally. The head developer of TF2C decided that it would be best for people not to distribute the last release beta anymore. The entire community was continuing to exist off of mega.nz links to Google Drives that had files of the last release beta. The reasoning for the head developer not wanting people to distribute the game was because the game was changing big time. He felt as if people playing the last release beta would give them a bad idea of what the next release would look like, and so saw it best fit to simply not let people play the last release beta. And people began to leave, and the numbers of the player base began to shrink as there was no way for it to grow. Split of Deathmatch, the most popular game mode from TF2 Classic to a new mod, Team Deathmatch Classic, did not help the situation either. People began to cry the words that started Team Fortress 2 Classic in the first place: TF2C is dead. Nobody plays it anymore, along with other, more lengthy complaints. History may not repeat itself, but it certainly does rhyme. Eventually, Beta 4 would fade into obscurity, Team Fortress 2 Classic along with it. Development of the mod never stopped. People asked questions frequently in the Discord server, but the website being absolutely barren of everything but a note reading "Jacob's Coal Mine, coming soon" did not help the community's already failing state. The release date of the mod was constantly getting pushed back as it was unfinished every time the date arrived. Player counts did not stop dropping no matter how much development was really getting done or how high quality the mod really was. It seemed like everything was lost for the community, and the remnants of what was once a great experience would now be lost in the sands of time. The mod never stopped being fun. It's still just as enjoyable as its release in 2015. And for a long time, there was silence. Nothing but a community being a regular community in a dedicated Discord server, and the beta testers beta testing in the Discord server for themselves. With the shutting down of Red Channel, the last hub for the community to play the game on, no one could even play with each other. And a game designed specifically for multiplayer play without multiplayer servers is, by definition, unplayable. Though it's worth mentioning that Team Fortress 2 Classic never really died. The community was always there. Many had given up hope, but hardcore fans refused to leave just because the mod closed its beta. In a matter of about a year or so, the website's page got updated because the head developer was never fond of a vague note about a coal mine, informing the whole community and newcomers about the mod. Now there's a billboard of papers and a document with a list of frequently asked questions about the mod. People's questions could be answered and they could get their confirmation that the mod was not, in fact, dead. The FAQ even includes a Discord link and allowed the community on the Discord to grow a bit. The developers of the mod have been more and more open about what's going to be in the mod, as they wish the mod had not taken as long as it has to get its big update, and they really feel bad for making everyone wait so much. I've been in the beta group too, trust me when I say there's a lot to look forward to. Things are really starting to look up for TF2C. Some community members go back and play the last release beta using copies of it they still have for nostalgic purposes, as they wait to see the future of this mod they've had so much fun with. I'm very excited for the future of this mod, but I think everyone has good reason to as well. TF2 Classic can release any day now, but exactly when isn't really clarified. It's been pushed back every time a date has been given, so the developers just stopped giving dates. As of the making of this video, the head developer says that their website is nearing completion and the mod is just about finished, which is good news. But of course, the future is not yet written, and the fate of Team Fortress 2 Classic and its community is in the hands of those who make it. Let's just hope that the release is good enough to draw back all of those who left, build a strong community like in the days of 2015 and 16. If not, stronger. We can only hope for the best, after all. I believe in you, TF2 Classic. Stay fun.